One of the things that I believe that we are absolutely moving towards, though, is concentration camps. I'm sure we can all lawlessness against lawlessness. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Amanda. But I'm sure we can all agree that we are moving towards concentration camps. And we've been tracking this and we've been covering this. And we just talked about on Saturday, they're getting all these warehouses, huge warehouses for millions and millions of dollars. And they're setting up these huge camps. I remember, do you guys remember? This was about, when was this? This was about 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in there, when we started hearing about the FEMA camps. There was the contract that got leaked where FEMA was signing contracts with Walmart to have those be available for times of emergency to set up giant camps. And we started to see the stuff about the underground tunnels that connect the Walmarts together. And we started to see the guillotine stuff. And we started to see the black plastic coffins where you can stack 6 bodies in each one of them. And you guys remember when we started to see that? And that was all conspiracy. And that was all just your nuts and your tinfoil hat and all that type of stuff. Yeah, not looking so conspiracy theory now, is it? Not really. No, it's looking about right. But the only thing is now what we're witnessing when it comes to them buying these warehouses, which some of them are like Amazon warehouses and shipping warehouses and whatnot, is the only difference is these aren't contracted out like the ones that FEMA have with Walmart. We don't know for sure. We can't confirm if FEMA still has the contract with Walmart, but we can kind of do an educated guess that contract never ended. The difference is the Trump administration, the government right now, is not contracting these warehouses out. The Trump administration, the U.S. government, is currently purchasing, outright buying these warehouses, which means they have permanent control of them. That makes this a lot more dangerous and only confirms the conspiracy even further. It says a repurposed Navy contract to funnel tens of billions to ICE for a nationwide ghost network of concentration camps just got a lot bigger. So when this thing first came out, this Navy contract, we talked about it because it was a hidden Navy contract that they had with ICE where it was $10 billion that the Navy program was going to work in conjunction with ICE in order to fund and build these camps. It's expanded since then. And that was just last year. It says, under the cover of a looming partial government shutdown, which they signed the thing. I don't know if you guys saw that. House passed it and they signed it, $1.2 trillion, which, by the way, the Trump administration, who claims that they're against DEI, against child transgender surgeries, and they're against abortion and all these things. He just signed a bill that funds, the federal government will fund DEI programs, child transgender surgeries, and abortion. So congratulations, guys. You're definitely winning with Trump in there. It says, under the cover of a looming partial government shutdown and a nation reeling from immigration agent-involved killings, the Department of Homeland Security is quietly supercharging its detention infrastructure. A massive Navy contract vehicle, once valued at $10 billion, has ballooned to a staggering $55 billion ceiling to expedite Trump's mass deportation agenda. It's not for the immigrants. The mechanism for the expansion in the Worldwide Expeditionary Multiple Award Contract, WEXMAC, originally designed for military logistics abroad in a move to bypass traditional competition delays, the Navy's Supply System Command has repurposed the vehicle for TITUS, territorial integrity of the United States. So what does that mean? This $45 billion increase, published just weeks ago, which is on sam.gov, which is where their contract stuff is at, converts the United States into a geographic region for expeditionary military-style detention. The entire United States just got turned into a military-style detention region. It signals a massive long-term escalation in the government's capacity to pay for detention and deportation logistics. In the world of federal contracting, it is the difference between temporary surge and permanent infrastructure. The Navy turns a pilot program into a permanent, massive-scale operation overnight with fast money incentives like task orders. They can be issued in days or even hours. Task orders allow DHS to bypass the months-long public bidding process for every new facility. When the contract says task orders are issued when specific dates and locations are identified, it means the infrastructure is currently a ghost network that can materialize anywhere in the United States the moment a site is picked. So whenever they pick a site to build a detention center or to acquire a detention center, they don't have to go through a bidding process, which can take months at a time. They literally will just hand it to somebody, and they begin the outfitting process within a couple of days. This is bypassing everything in order to build an entire military detention region in the United States. It says documents reveal a clinical blueprint for a new sprawling network of facilities. Remember all those huge warehouses that we just talked about on Saturday? That's what this is. This isn't just about bed space. It's also about rapid deployment of self-contained cities. Lori S., when does this start? It already started. It already started. They've been at this for months now. This began last year. Infrastructure. Contractors are tasked with providing soft-sided tent cities capable of housing up to 10,000 people each. Life support. The contract's line items include everything from 300 square meter closed tents with 1,000 lux lighting to large barbecue grills and industrial scale shower facilities. The vehicle mandates force protection services, including HESCO earth-filled defensive barriers, 8-foot-high Conex box walls, and weather-resistant guard shacks. My word. And medical and death, the services extend to medical waste management with specific protocols for biohazard incinerators and certified inventory of evidence reports for full-scale or full-service laundry operations. That's another thing that I'm looking into, but I'm seeing some stuff that's pointing to the United States government purchasing a lot of biomedical incinerators. These things are big enough and run hot enough to turn bone to ash. And if you're thinking the ovens from Germany, you're correct. I still got to confirm that, but I'm seeing some stuff that's really telling me that that's actually something that they've done behind the scenes. Goes on to say, the One Big Beautiful Bill funds the expansion of ICE and Border Patrol through 2029, and the enormous Pentagon slush fund DHS has with the Navy or any other federal infusions of cash and authority that DHS can access in a shutdown situation. The DHS is basically shutdown proof from a funding perspective. So even if the government was to shut down again, DHS will not. It will continue to go. If Congress does nothing, DHS will continue to thrive. With 3 more years pre-funded, plus the U.S. Navy as a benefactor, Secretary Kristi Noem or any potential successor has the legal and financial runway to keep the business of creating ICE concentration camps overnight in American communities running long after any news cycle fades. While Kennedy predicts a long shutdown for DHS, this contract vehicle suggests that the department has already secured the ceiling it needs to operate a massive scale, regardless of the immediate budget battles in the House. So much for that conspiracy theory regarding that. And at this point, sometimes you just, tough love, you got to be blunt. At this point, if you still think that ICE and DHS and what we are currently seeing right now is still for the immigrants, you are as blind as a bat. This is being built for U.S. citizens. Permanent structure. Funding and a legal authority through government shutdown. A ghost network, which means they can put these things up anywhere that they want to. Housing up to 10,000 people. Building cities, these tiny little self-sufficient cities with guard shacks, 8-foot walls.
Our once great cities have become unlivable, unsanitary nightmares, surrendered to the homeless, the drug addicted, and the violent and dangerously deranged. We're making many suffer for the whims of a deeply unwell few, and they are unwell indeed. The homeless have no right to turn every park and sidewalk into a place for them to squat and do drugs. Americans should not have to step over piles of needles and waste as they walk down a street, a beautiful city, or at least once beautiful city, because they've changed so much over the last 10 years. Our first consideration should be the rights and safety of the hardworking, law-abiding citizens who make our society function. When I'm back in the White House, we will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off our streets. There is nothing compassionate about letting these individuals live in filth and squalor rather than getting them the help that they need. We need professionals to help them. For a small fraction of what we spend upon Ukraine, we could take care of every homeless veteran in America. Our veterans are being treated horribly. Likewise, with all of the money we will save by ending mass unskilled migration, we will have a huge dividend to address this crisis in our own country. Under my strategy, working with states, we will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that, but we'll give them the option. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create 10 cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified. But we'll open up our cities again, make them livable, and make them beautiful. For those who are just temporarily down on their luck, we will work to help them quickly reintegrate into a normal life. For those who have addictions, substance abuse, and common mental health problems, we will get them into treatment. And for those who are severely mentally ill and deeply disturbed, we will bring them back to mental institutions where they belong, with the goal of reintegrating them back into society once they are well enough to manage. It's a tough task, a very tough task. What's taken place on the streets, what's taken place with their taking so much drugs. But the fact is, we're going to try. This strategy will be far better and also far less expensive than spending vast sums of taxpayer money to house the homeless in luxury hotels without addressing their underlying issues, and they have so many of these underlying issues and needs. This is how I will end the scourge of homelessness and make our cities clean and safe and beautiful once again. We will do it. We will bring back America. Thank you.
What is this place?
Sanctuary District.
21st century history is not one of my strong points. Too depressing.
It's been a hobby of mine. They made some ugly mistakes, but they also paved the way for a lot of things we now take for granted.
I assume this is one of those mistakes.
A bad one. By the early 2020s, there was a place like this in every major city in the United States.
Why are these people in here? Are they criminals?
You know, people with criminal records weren't allowed in the sanctuary districts.
Then what do they do to deserve this?
Nothing. Just people. Without jobs or places to live.
So they get put in here?
Welcome to the 21st century, Doctor.